The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
The North Kesteven series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop located at 20 Ropery Road, Gainsborough, or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. Welcome back to North Kesteven again, everybody. Now today I brought you to the first of a pair of twins, and this is directly to the south of a village we covered last year, Heckington. This is Great Hale. Great Hale, nook of land, large. In true Lincolnshire fashion, we're ploughing on through Kesteven. Hey, I like what I did there. Mind you, it's relevant given we're in a farming area. Today we're taking on the first ever pair of twins as we work our way down from Heckington towards North Kesteven's border with South Kesteven. This is Great Hale, situated on the B1394, and it's quite difficult to know exactly where it starts and Heckington stops. Looking on an overhead map of the two villages, they're pretty much conjoined, with a string of properties lining the B1394 from the centre of Heckington to the centre of Great Hale. The boundary, though, is just south of the eight-sailed windmill. Great Hale is an ancient Kesteven parish, originally incorporating both townships of Great and Little Hale, but the latter broke away in 1866, and that means it gets its own episode tomorrow. In 1935, Great Hale gained part of the ancient parish of Bicker from Holland, giving us the boundaries it has today. A lot of Great Hale is residential. The centre of the village is defined by what is effectively a collection of small parallel streets off the B1394, and generally everything east of those is within an area of housing. There is therefore a clear difference between the oldest and newest parts of the village. We will of course be exploring both. The standout features of the older part are the old school, which was still going until 1987, and the partially Saxon church of St John the Baptist with its pre-conquest tower. There is of course a lot more, so let's go. Our start and end point around Great Hale is on the B1394, just south of the village hall. Great Hale mostly lies to the east of this road, so a lot of traffic passing through to or from Heckington avoids most of the village. Well, we are definitely not just most traffic. This village is well worth an explore. On the agenda first is that village hall, which is titled Hale Magna as opposed to Great Hale. Effectively, they mean the same thing, great and magna, big or large. Magna is the Latinised version. Hale means nook of land. Whilst Hale Magna Village Hall is a building that's definitely an integral part of village life here, information about its existence and history was pretty scant, so this isn't a great start. At a guess, given similar types of communal buildings we've seen elsewhere, I reckon it was built between the 1950s and the 1980s. It's certainly a mid-20th century building. The next thing on our list, though, is a bit older. Very quiet in Great Hale this morning. It is just past 7 AM to be fair, so there's not many people around yet. They're probably all still in bed. It is a Saturday after all. Now there's a couple of old pubs here in Great Hale. We're heading towards one of them in a moment. Still got a use, by the way. There is another one just here. This is the old Rose and Crown, and that appears to be a house now. That would be the old school. Records show that a national school existed in Great Hale from 1828, built on a piece of ground presented by the Marquis of Bristol. It's unclear if this is the original building, but this was certainly the one that was still being used in 1987 when it closed its doors for the final time. By 1903, Great Hale School was affiliated with the Church of England and was known as Hale Magna C of E School. Later it became Great Hale C of E School, opting to anglicise its name. In 1956 it was reorganised as a junior and infant school, and senior pupils were transferred to Sleaford County Secondary Modern. Since closure, Great Hale school children have attended either Heckington or Helpringham primary schools, those being the two closest to the north and south of the village. And the old school itself? Well, that's a private house today. Great Hale still has a building that's connected to education, and that would be this one on the corner of Grove Street. Occupying it is Little Lockets Day Nursery, offering exceptional childcare for those aged between 3 months and 4 years. Now, you can probably guess from the exterior that this was never a purpose-built nursery. You'd be right. This used to be a pub called the Nags Head. Although there's no definitive date for its construction available, it was certainly present in the village in 1876 because it was shown on an OS map. In those days, Charles Wise was the publican. Great Hale no longer has a pub, and the village has lost a few more amenities than that over the years. There's one that piqued my interest further down Grove Street. You know, sometimes doing this, finding the derelict places can actually be as interesting as finding the places which look magnificent. Here's a building which falls into the former category. Would you look at this? Now I wonder, what could this possibly have been in a past life? Who knows? This little building was clearly some sort of shop in a past life. Further digging revealed it was last in use by a company called SJ Electronics. Although I couldn't find out much about them, they are apparently still going. If my sources are right, they're now based in Kettering. One has to wonder though, what else this little shop has been in its time. Wouldn't it be great to see it back in action again, rather than the dilapidated state it's currently in? Next up, it's a huge residential area to the east of the main street. Great Hale has expanded eastwards over time, although it's done so in small bursts. The result is somewhat of a patchwork of properties, some very new and modern, and others a bit older. They all harmoniously intermingle with each other though. Nothing looks terribly out of place. Now, this wasn't on the route, but if I didn't know better, I'd say that's an old fire station. Just going by the doors. What do you think? Now we've reached Chapel Lane, a narrow pedestrian thoroughfare which connects the High Street to Lees Road. On it, you'll come across one of Great Hale's former chapel buildings, this one once belonging to the Primitive Methodists. It was built in 1851 and it's now a residence. The Primitive Methodists in Great Hale originally met in a private house before gaining a building of their own for worship. When built, this was initially known as the Bourne Close Chapel. It was altered in 1906 and closed in 1963. This isn't the only chapel Great Hale has. If you walk to the end of the lane and turn left, you'll spy another, this time the one once used by the Wesleyans. Plenty of bungalows here in Great Hale, aren't there? There seems to be all over the place, especially in this central area. Well, I'll tell you one property that definitely isn't a bungalow. That's the other old chapel, which we are dead opposite here. That's never been a bungalow in its life, has it? Let's check it out. This chapel is the third of a string of three. The other two were built in 1824 and 1851 respectively. This one was constructed in 1901 on the same site. It once had a Sunday school too. This was known to the Wesleyans as the Epworth Chapel, an apt name given the Wesleys' connection to the North Lincolnshire town. In addition to this, there was a further Wesleyan chapel recorded at an unspecified location in Hale Fen. Although it was never built as a place of worship, it had been used to that end for at least 15 years before records mention it in 1851. Okay, got one landmark left, and it's the church. And to get to it, we're using this rather narrow and muddy footpath, but this is the Lincolnshire Fens. You expect a bit of mud here and there. So there can be no denying that Great Hale is an interesting little village, full of quirks at every turn. Mind you, I think I've saved the best until last with this one. Our final job before returning to the car is to check out the Church of St John the Baptist, the pride and joy of Great Hale village. The church tower is late Saxon and predates the Norman conquest by approximately a century. The experts reckon it was built in 966 AD. Its belfry and the circular staircase to the top of the tower are typical examples of pre-conquest stone construction. The exterior of the east wall has a bulge to accommodate the staircase, which is built within it. It's approximately 16 inches wide. Included within the tower are two pieces of reused sculpture. These are a late 10th or early 11th century figure sculpture, which is likely that of the Virgin Mary, and a later medieval Sheila na gig figure. The rest of the church is 11th century, but it's had a raft of additions and alterations since then. The whole thing was extensively restored in 1896 and 97 by Hodgson Fowler. The church contains memorials to past residents and historical items such as a hobbice, an early form of oboe. And to finish with, we've got the parish council notice board. You know what that means? One of these going to be placed on it. And that's Great Hale in the books. Now, as we know already, Great Hale is only one half of a pair. Just down the road, the B1394, is its little brother. Join me tomorrow when we'll explore that village and complete another set of Lincolnshire twins. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.